buddy?
How you doing?
Hey, I'm back.
Good to see you. Come on in.
Hey, thank you. You know, the last time I was here, it was right after the Trump election.
Trump seemed to come through here, and he's speaking change again. And we're always wanting something more. We want something better, and we're hoping he does that.
Are you as hopeful today as you were the last time I saw you?
Well, Van, to be honest with you, things have gotten a little bit worse. The company that I work at, Arconic RMI Titanium in Niles, Ohio, we build the F-35 fighter jet, and we currently, we're 11 months without a contract. But even more importantly, Lordstown General Motors, they've lost 4,000 employees. We're currently about 5,000 jobs down since Trump has taken office here locally.
But that's kind of hard to imagine because, you know, he's out there saying he's been a miracle for this economy. Wall Street's happy, the stock market's happy. What's that disconnect?
I think he sold us on broken promises in this area. I think he sold us on promises he knew he couldn't keep. I don't believe he understands the devastation in this area. I mean, a lot of families are moving away from this area, and where Trump told us, don't go, don't pack up, don't leave. This is all gonna stay here. This is all gonna work out. And, well, where's it at? Like, what's happening? It's just going downhill from here.
So the bleeding has not stopped, basically. You were bleeding, and
we're still bleeding.
And you're still bleeding.
We're not unrealistic that the steel mills are going to come back and flourish in this area. You know, it's just not going to happen. But things need to replace what they are taking away.
Mark Whining, good friend of mine. He was a car enthusiast. Getting a job at General Motors was his dream job. He was given the ultimatum to either lose your job or take a transfer to another location. And it took him away from his family.
That's too hard.
Yeah, he ended up taking his own life through depression and whatnot. Ended up committing suicide. We need some real help in this area.
You know, the Trump tax bill was touted as something that was going to help the economy a great deal. A lot of people said that Trump tax bill helped rich folks more than it helped working people. What is your view of the Trump tax bill?
What did we spend in taxes this year? $3,400 we just had to pay in this year. And my actual paycheck was $2.46 more each week.
So what, you used to get a refund and now you had to pay in, or?
Yeah, we used to get a refund.
So you did not get...
Hey, you all, welcome back to the channel. And that was an excerpt from a Democrat who voted for Trump and I think was hoping to get a lot more better results than they got. And as you can see from this excerpt, the factory that they were running there in their town in Ohio were closed down, and they went through a lot of economic distress. And it just kind of begged the question for me as I was thinking about this: is the economy really as good as we're being led to believe? Data and polls is pretty much all we have to, go on. But we also can go on what's happening around us and in our own experiences. And clearly, this family here is having a very hard time. Also understanding the unemployment numbers. There's a lot of factors that go into that, like people who give up looking for a job, people who just vanish off the face of the earth, and they may get a job, but it might be counting part-time work, and they're still struggling day to day in a variety of things. But I just thought it was interesting and begged the question: are we really in a good economy? And under something like Andrew Yang's plan, is the time really now, like many of us believe? Now, Andrew Yang talks about there being this incline in the economy that is a temporary situation that's going to that is part of what we might be experiencing now with the so-called growth of the job market, as it were. But this is temporary and will start to fall rapidly, especially over the next 10 years, where we're going to see this increase in automation. Of course, you can see in this example where they're pretty much at the point now, these factories aren't coming back. And I think they're in a proper mindset that this is the world we're going to be facing, where the jobs aren't going to be coming back. And, people who like this gentleman here trying to take care of his family, he might not be able to be retrained in some of the certain jobs that might be available or that may be left in this new coming age and this new technical revolution. But as we can see here, not everybody feels that Donald Trump has come through promise-wise, specifically with this job situation. And remember, jobs is going to be up there as one of the most important things going forward, into the future. Now, interesting enough, I'll try to drop a link in the description to this full video, but there's a part of this that speaks about where they're looking for somebody who has solutions to their problems. And they're talking about Biden, but then they don't like Biden. And they're hoping, some of them are kind of hoping for Bernie. But the thing that I found kind of interesting in a situation like this, where they're talking about jobs and how they're going to go forward and how they're going to be able to get over these humps, right? Is that Andrew Yang seemed perfect for this example. And I just can't believe they're aware of it's the 21 candidates, but nobody mentioned Andrew Yang. Now, this is a part of CNN. So, they probably, wouldn't include him anyway like that, right? Depending on who CNN may want to see in power. But wow, I mean, I feel it's like a missed opportunity. Now, this family, as they're struggling with their situation with taxes, that they burdened with paying taxes this year. The Trump tax bill seemed to go more to helping the richer people, and obviously aren't helping these struggling Americans here. The something like universal basic income, I think, would be excellent. This would be perfect for them. Now, think about this for a second. During this segment, we just looked at maybe about 5 or 6 adults in that living room, right? Now, that means under Andrew Yang's plan, they would have about $5,000 at least between I think it's maybe 5 of them there, right? About $5,000. Now, think about that. Now, from the taxes that they were paying and a variety of things, they're probably, imagine them bringing in like 60 grand a year as a family, and they can go out and work alongside with that. Just let that sink in for a moment. Would that not be a solution for that family? I think it'd get them pretty close to being a solution. And none of them mention Andrew Yang, right? Weird, odd. Probably because they don't think he could beat Trump. But as we go forward in this video here, we're going to talk about some of the reasons why Trump might not be as indestructible as many of us once thought. And facing Trump with the right solutions. Now, I think when we focus on somebody like Bernie Sanders, in a particular situation like this, where factories are closing, automation is rampant, and people are losing work, the things that Bernie Sanders are putting forward, like federal workers, getting people federal jobs and stuff like that. Well, the federal government makes up for a very small portion of the job market. And so that's not going to be a solution to this large amount of job loss that is going to be happening. And so in that way, as much as many of us like Bernie Sanders, and they seem to mention him in this segment, Bernie Sanders doesn't really present a well solution to this problem, right? Because no amount of free education and hiring federal workers is going to help people who don't have employment, right? Who don't have jobs and who can't meet their basic needs. And so in that way, I don't see where Bernie would be as good of a solution as it is as what Andrew Yang proposes. I want you also to keep in mind that what Andrew Yang proposes is not some form of unemployment or welfare. You imagine the psychological effect on a person like this who would have to go on some type of welfare or public assistance, the lack of honor that he, would have in that, and the viewpoint of himself and not being able to provide for his family. With something like the freedom dividend being framed in a way that this is us sharing part of the wealth of this country, would be so much better for the citizens. Not to mention, as we got to see in this segment, think about the heartfelt situation with the person who committed suicide due to the problems in the job economy. Definitely related to that, a lot of statistics Andrew Yang has brought forth has connected the job marketplace to depression, mental illness, bad health, and a plethora of things that lend over to bad mental health, which was definitely factors in probably causing this person sadly to commit suicide, as brought out in this video. This is where we're at with this, guys, and looking at going up against, speaking of the economy with Trump, when we're getting a total different story here, and looking at, is Trump going to be as hard to beat as we think? I'm beginning to believe Trump may not be as hard to beat as we once believed. Moving on to the impeachment part. Now, I want to say this, what I liked about this segment, Van Jones tried to bring up the impeachment of Trump as a way seemingly to get this family behind that. And the family didn't go into that department. And I like that about them, because I was thinking the same way as this family, that really impeachment really doesn't have anything to do with it, because here's the problem. When Trump was exonerated, right, the investigation brought back it couldn't be proven he did anything. That's the end of it. There's no, we got Mueller talking about, well, I couldn't prove that he didn't do it. I couldn't prove he did it, but it couldn't be proven he didn't do it. What kind of weird double talk is that from from an investigation on this level? That is some of the most ridiculous wording I've ever heard from so-called intelligent people, right? As a citizen of this country, I have decided that I signed on to this country, and as a citizen, I honor the justice system, right? There have been many cases where there have been crimes committed, or so-called crimes committed, where there have been exonerations, right? And acquittals. And I have had to honor that, because number one, I wasn't there at the scene, right? I don't know all the details of what happens when the police department and the investigators collected data and information and DNA, how it was handled. I wasn't there, right? And there are some cases where it's maybe a little bit more cut and dry, where there's videos and cameras and great witness testimony. But then there are cases where it's not that. And we have to accept that. But with all that being said, I do have to release these statistics and data. Although I thought what happened in the Mueller investigation was ridiculous, and I felt like if they couldn't prove that he did it, then that should be the end of it. Because they're pushing this impeachment thing, they have put Trump's data up against that of Nixon's, and it's comparably the same. Right, it starts off comparable. The numbers look the same. It all shapes up to be about the same situation, and Nixon gets impeached in the end. So they're saying that it's not impossible that Trump could be impeached. Probably not likely that he will be impeached. However, data that is also coming out is that the impeachment, and even the idea of impeachment, is enough to affect his reelection possibilities. And so what you're getting is now even less possibility that Trump can get reelected, coupled with all these things. And the situation as it were, Trump may not be as difficult to beat as we once believed. Now, kind of connecting the dots into this with the Central Park Five, I want to talk about the Central Park Five because it is also a new thing that's being politicized. I think that's going to work against Trump as well. I was young when the incident with the Central Park Five happened, so I don't remember a whole lot about the case and the situation. But we're seeing Trump be brought up a lot, despite evidence, despite the exoneration of the Central Park Five. Trump has continued to press on in a way that shows they're not innocent. And there's documentaries now coming out, and it's painting Trump in a very bad light. And what I think this is doing, in fact, I know this is what's happening with it, is whereas Trump in his prior election was able to get a great amount of African American votes and brown people votes, I really think this Central Park Five docudrama is going to blow up to something really big as it's doing now. And it's going to cause a lot of brown people who supported Trump prior to this to not vote for him. And I think this is going to make just the road to the presidency a lot more difficult than it was prior. I also want to throw out these great details about Andrew Yang becoming president, and every day it getting so much better he's going to become president. Several states have already pledged that they will go with the popular vote. A lot of people feel this is brought about by the push from Elizabeth Warren, and I'm actually glad she pushed this because whereas Andrew Yang has kind of voiced out against the popular vote, the Electoral College being abolished, I think maybe he should have stayed with the idea of it being abolished simply because I do believe Andrew Yang will win by the popular vote, right? I think if these economic conditions are what I suspect to be a lot more severe than polls and datas and what this administration is saying it is, that the popular vote is going to tell the truth. And many states are pledging to only honor the win of the popular vote, right? That means that the delegates will have to side with the popular vote. And so that's going to hurt Trump because remember, Trump didn't win prior by the popular vote. But all very interesting details, guys. Tell me all what you think about this. Tell me all, do you think the economy is really good? What do you think about this family and what they're going through in relation to Andrew Yang's plan? And that's all I want to say in this particular video. If you like content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, bear in mind, as a group, we're doing our own universal basic income project that involves real money through cryptocurrency, similar to what you get with Bitcoin. And it's totally free. The value goes to you. It can be traded in exchange for real money. All you need to do is join us and you can start reaping such benefits. But that's all I want to say in this video. If you all like content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and until next time, take care.